Now that all the housekeeping is done, I'm going to turn our attention to my big brother, Gary Black. Gary, what's going on?
Hey, appreciate that warm welcome. Thanks for having me.
Always, Gary. Always a pleasure. So, Gary, for those of us who do not know who you are, please let us know who you are.
Yeah, I'm Gary Black. I started Black Optical 13 years ago in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and expanded to Oklahoma City 9 years ago, and then Dallas almost 4 years ago. I mean, I love eyewear just as much as you guys, and I'm pretty thankful and grateful to be on the stage and be able to kind of share my wisdom and some of my past experiences.
Nice. So, Gary, I know you're a very modest guy, so you never bring this up. But for people who don't know Gary Black and Black Optical, Black Optical has quite a few awards under their belt when it comes to the international eyewear community, right?
Sure.
So he's being modest again. So Gary Black Optical, and was it 2015? They won the B-Store Award at Mito. In 2015, yep. They were Optimum Retail Award finalists at Vision Expo, and in 2020 as well. So the only optical store to be back-to-back finalists as and being recognized as one of the top opticals in the world, not just in the country, but in the world. So we're gonna get to a little bit about that and that advice, but we're gonna now turn our attention to our guest bartender. I'm really excited about this because our guest bartender comes from Dallas, just like Gary does. Javier, are you there? Oh, Javier?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey,
Hey, guys.
Good, bro, good. Javier, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are and what you're making for us today?
Yes, so my name is Javier Telles. I've been an optician for the past 14 years. And today I'm making a very easy, simple drink to make at home called La Vida Buena by Christy Pope. It's going to have tequila, cucumber, lime, mint, super easy to make.
Awesome. Let's get to it.
Awesome. So first, we are going to model some mint. Cucumber. Three-quarters simple. Three-quarters lime. 2 ounces of
I'll tell you, Javier, your camera person is on it. These angles are giving me life.
Right? It's my wife, actually.
Very nice.
2 ounces of tequila. And then you're gonna muddle it. All right. Beautiful. And then let me get some ice. Pour out the ice. Close the shaker.
That's a true bartender.
Glassware. More ice. Pour the drink.
That was so good. It's like,
and then you do a garnish. And you're nice and off. Cheers.
Cheers. Thank you, Javier. So, excellent. So, Gary, you and Javier are both in Dallas, right?
We are, yes.
Yeah. How do you guys know each other?
He was slinging drinks at one of my favorite bars in Dallas. Whenever I was plotting my expansion to the market, I would go to the Midnight Rambler, and he made the best drinks at the bar, and he happened to wear the best eyeglasses. So I knew he had to be like hip to the industry somehow.
That's funny. That's funny because that's the exact same way that I met Javier.
Yeah.
Went to Midnight Rambler. I saw this guy with this cool eyewear, and he's an optician / bartender. I was like, no, that is a good combination.
Yeah. His hair was a lot shorter back then, but. And then I knew his wife. I didn't even know they were married. She worked at one of my favorite retailers in Dallas. I would always go in and pick her brain about the market and the consumer, and so I was able to be informed about Dallas from both of them independently. So then when I found out they were partners, I was like, oh man, this is like a match made in heaven.
That's awesome. Well, Javier, thank you again. We really appreciate it. There will be the recipe for that drink posted on our Instagram page shortly after this session. So Gary, you ready to get to it?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. Let's bring on the first mentee. Now, the first mentee, I met her just through speed dating, and each week she just amazes me more and more because she does not come from this industry. So Denisha, are you unmuted and ready?
I am.
Mm-hmm.
Hi,
All right,
everyone.
Denisha, hello and hello. So Denisha, let's talk about a little bit about who you are first, because you have a very interesting story.
Yeah, absolutely. Hello, everyone. My name is Denisha Freeman. And as Terrence mentioned, no, I do not come from an optical background. I currently work in banking. I'm a senior taxonomy architect for one of the largest banks here in Charlotte, North Carolina. However, I am interested in transitioning into the optical field as both designer as well as retail owner. Mm-hmm. I'm glad to be here.
Glad to have you here. And you have some amazing questions each week. So I'll let you get started and go ahead.
Okay, perfect. Well, first, I want to thank you, Terrence, obviously, for pulling this together. And Gary, thank you for taking the time to meet with all of us. So let me just dive into my questions. The first one is, notice on your website where you've partnered with quite a few different nonprofit organizations there in the Tulsa area. So one of those organizations is Tulsa Cares. Mm-hmm. Is a company that strives to eradicate the stigma around HIV/AIDS and Hep C. So my question is all around, how do you determine and identify what organizations to partner with, specifically around community engagement and or impact?
Yeah, at Black Optical, like we started as eyewear as our vehicle, but ultimately it was about being part of our communities we're in and partnering with what's happening within our neighborhoods. And Tulsa Cares is probably the one that we support the biggest. But the reason we chose them is because we like to support who our team, what they're affected by, what our clients are affected by, what our friends are affected by. So a lot of who we choose from comes from that, and not necessarily saying this is a need in our cities. That's what we want to be a part of. But it's something that, communicating with each one of our clients. What are they passionate about, and what can we do to help? Talking with our team members, what are they passionate about? Where can we help? And again, eyewear just happens to be that vehicle and our path to get to that. Not necessarily like eyewear is our main passion.
Exactly, and I love that, by the way. And so that kind of leads me to my next question. It's still around partnership, though, but from the perspective of luxury brands, because I know that you've had quite a few pop-up shops, and one of them being one of my favorite designers, Fenty. So I'm just curious on, how did this partnership come about? Are major high-end luxury brands coming to you with the request, or are you contacting them? Just for me to kind of understand the process a little bit more, and also the strategy around establishing these relationships.
Yeah, I think, a big part of it is just luck. I don't know what our secret sauce is. We've just been really lucky. I think part of it is we've been doing this for so long. And when we started Black Optical, we weren't really following the big labels and, the logos and things like that. We had a very distinct point of view from day one. And I think that made us stand out early with a lot of the creatives in our industry. When it comes to Fenty, nobody says no to Rihanna. So if her people call, you just say yes.
Right.
And I'll be honest, it doesn't, we don't do logos on our frames, and all of her frames have logos on them. But they're so beautiful in the hand that it's, again, we couldn't say no doing a pop-up with her, especially when we knew her team only chose 5 stores in the US to start.
Just a few, exactly.
The unfortunate thing is we launched it 7 days before COVID shut down our cities.
Oh my
I
God.
can't say that we've been able to do very much with it, but again, I'm really thankful for that opportunity. And I think luck probably had more to do with it than anything, because we just happened to be there.
Wow. That's incredible. Well, thank you for that.
The frames are beautiful. You should definitely need to see them. They're so beautiful.
I may have to take a trip out there once we clear this COVID-19 just to take a look at those frames. And
I'd be happy to host you.
Okay, next question. You know, given this current pandemic, do you envision the optical industry trending or even evolving into? Do you foresee that there being any gaps and or opportunities? And then also, do you foresee any long-term impact with international manufacturing?
Yeah, I've been stewing on this question. This is probably the one that stumped me the most from this talk so far, because I'm not, one of the talents I do not have is predicting the future, or even be able to like solve the puzzle of the future. I'm really good at give me a bunch of pieces that are here now, and I'll figure out how to arrange them and how to maximize them. So the way I try to, like, as I'm thinking through this, is like approaching it not because of the pandemic that things are going to change, but I think they're because of changes that probably should already be happening. And the pandemic, I think, is just going to accelerate those. I definitely see teleoptometry and telemedicine as the future for all of us, whether you're an optician, whether you're an OD. I just think it's going to be important to meet our clients where they're at. And if part of that is doing it remotely through calls like this, then I think that's a way. Since I'm not necessarily on the manufacturing side of the business, but I am seeing it from a retailer perspective. I mean, I think supply chains are definitely going to slow down, but like some of the conversations I'm having with eyewear brands is that I think you're going to start seeing eyewear brands restructuring how they deliver product. So instead of having these massive releases of like 60 frames in a season, they can probably still release that number in a year, but they'll start trickling them out a little more often. And as a retailer, I love that, because that means every month I have something new to call my clients about, or my team can call their clients with and say, guess what? We've got these 2 new styles that we think you're going to love. And we get to do that every month, or every couple months, versus waiting every 6 months in order to have that conversation. So those are some things I hope that we see. In business, as you know, in banking, things are always changing. Pandemic or not pandemic, there's always something that is going to challenge us to evolve. And I think this is the first time, though, that we're all in it together. We all get to be a part of this conversation, and we all get to kind of create this future that we want to see. So I see some real opportunity there, but I can't tell you what those opportunities are. Give me the pieces and I'll figure it out.
Okay. No, thank you. That was good. Terrence, do I have time for one last question?
Yeah, go right ahead.
So for someone who's transitioning into this industry as a designer and retail owner, what top 5 tips or advice would you offer?
I loved that you asked this, especially after I wrote my questions. I found out you were in banking. My number 1 is that money is made in accounting, and nowhere else. You've got to have your accounting and bookkeeping like seamless. That is definitely my number 1 piece of advice. Number 2 on my list was, and I needed this more for me, it was that tomorrow, my to-do list will always be there tomorrow. I don't need to work until 10 o'clock at night to make sure my to-do list is done, because even if I get it done, there's going to be more things tomorrow. So I think it's like I've learned early on to not like stress about not getting everything accomplished that I want to, because there's always tomorrow. So spend time with your friends, spend time with your family, spend time on yourself, because there's always tomorrow. The other thing on my list, 2 of those 5, is surround yourself with talent. It might say Black Optical on the door, but Black Optical is not Gary Black. It's each one of my team members that are presently with me, and even past team members that aren't with us that have influenced and shaped the Black Optical you see today. And again, if it was just me, I'd still be one store working Tuesday through Saturday by myself. So in order to have a sustainable company, you've got to surround yourself with talent. And then I also had, something I learned early on, and I try to instill in our team, is always be willing to ask for help. I don't always have the answers. Rarely actually do I have the answers. And I raise my hand as often as I can and say, I need some help, or what are your thoughts on this? And then the other thing that I've learned, and we'll probably address this with some other questions, is always put your people first. Product and place and environment are second. Your people always need to be first, whether it's your clients, your vendors and business partners, your team members. You've got to put them first, otherwise you're not going to have a company.
That's really good advice.
Thank you.
Thank you so very much, and I appreciate the time.
Happy to help.
Awesome. Wow.
I can't wait to see what you do.
Yes.
Yeah,
I'm excited for you.
I'm excited too.
So can you meet parents? Do I have time for questions? Does it work this way? Is it a two-way thing?
No. You have to sign up for next week. Will be speed dating with Denisha.
Okay, good. Actually, I'm unavailable. It's my wife's 40th birthday next Friday. So.
Oh, wow.
All right. Awesome. Oh, that was really good, Denisha. Someone said I love Denisha's style, and I agree. You're not in the industry. You have great style. Great eyewear, and I can't wait to see what you do in this industry.
Thank you
so absolutely. So let's move on to our next mentee. Our next mentee is coming all the way from Canada. Miss Joanne, are you there?
Hi, Terrence.
Hey, Joanne. Joanne, you and I, we've known each other for a good 4 years. We were just getting started. And now
when you walked in with a bottle of wine and I just got the doors open.
Don't say that, because I didn't bring any wine to Gary.
I got cupcakes, I think.
Well, don't say that. I didn't bring any cupcakes to Joanne.
You should get our own treat, right?
There you go. So Joanne, why don't you tell us a little bit who you are?
Yeah, so I'm from Canada. I'm very close to Toronto. I'm just based out of Vaughan. I currently have an optical called Market Lane Optical. It's going on its 4th year, and I have a second store coming up in the next month or so. It's still under construction just because of the COVID-19. It's been delayed. I'm actually wasn't from the optical industry. I apprenticed under an optician, and from there I decided to open up my own shop. I actually have an art background. I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree, and eventually I want to get into designing eyewear, so the manufacturing side. But I decided to go ahead with the optical side retail storefront first, just to gain more experience and see what clients like, and take it from there into my designs. And Terrence, thank you so much for setting this up.
No, this is great. So I'll let you and Gary get to it.
Excellent. Hi, Gary. How are you?
Joy. I'm doing great.
I love your haircut.
Thanks. It's my COVID cut.
Yeah.
My 11-year-old, to keep her entertained, she'd been asking for weeks to cut my hair. So finally I was like, you know what? Sure, why not? Have some fun.
That's amazing.
We're making memories for sure.
Yeah, I think this is the best time to make memories with family.
Yeah.
Okay, Gary, I have a few questions for you.
Sure.
So the first question I have for you is, as an owner of multiple locations, you have 3 locations, I believe. What would you say is the most challenging part?
I don't necessarily have just one thing that's the most challenging, because they're challenging for different reasons. Some of them are a little more personal. Some of them are thinking on a broader scale of things. I think like in the beginning, as I expanded, and something that was pretty hard, because I started with I was the only employee for a while before I started opening other locations, is that my clients only wanted my help in the beginning, or I thought they only wanted my help in the beginning. So I felt like I had to be in all of these places at once in order to service my client. And then, following into that, it was also learning to trust my team, with our guests, even though they might do things a little differently than I will, or service our clients a little differently. That as long as our team knows the brand vision and our brand standards, they're going to be able to excel and probably do the job even better than me if I just kind of let go. I mean, that's something I really had to learn as I went from Tulsa to Oklahoma City, and then even Oklahoma City to Dallas, was just that, was kind of letting go and letting our team know that my clients are their clients. And then I think the other part is like knowing that my job just changed a little bit. I became more of a coordinator and an orchestrating versus like doing the work. And that was a little hard because I'm a doer more than like a planner. Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I definitely agree. I feel like right now, my biggest struggle is because my second store is opening. I have all these clients. They're saying, "Oh no, Joanne, don't leave me." And I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna be down the street. Come and visit me. But I'm just having that struggle where I don't know how I'm gonna leave my clients. I'm not gonna leave them behind. Obviously, there's gonna be people that's gonna take care of them. But it's just that personal relationship that you have. You've built this relationship with them for 4 years. It's really hard to just not be there for them when they walk in.
But I think like something that I've learned is that your client will understand that you're so passionate about your business and taking care of your clients that you wouldn't leave your new team member alone with a guest if you didn't have complete trust in them.
Yeah.
You know, and if you didn't think that they can deliver on your, you know, we call it the Black Optical promise. You know, if my team couldn't deliver on the Black Optical promise. It's something else we find we're starting to do it now with new hires or new opticians in our space, is that our new opticians will service the client. They're the ones doing follow-up calls. They're the ones calling to check prescriptions or check on lens status. They're following up with the client, letting them know the status, whether they're ready for pickup or if there was a delay. We're even doing those follow-up calls of how your glasses work, how they're performing, what can we be doing a little bit different? And that helps build that currency of trust early on in the process. So that way, when you're not there, the client already has familiarity with who they're working with. And I think that's the big part of leaving your clients is you build trust with them. They know that you're going to find the perfect pair of eyeglasses pretty fast. So whenever you're introducing them to a client, it's letting that new employee part of the process from the beginning. And it's helped us significantly. And then now it's, you know, and I hope my team across the board will say, our clients are happy with whoever is there because they know that they're going to get that Black Optical experience.
That's very good.
But you know, it comes from the owner. You've got to let go. You're the one, you know, it comes from you.
I think that's really hard for me. I like to take things in my own hands and do it. Yeah. So that's definitely going to be a learning curve for me.
Pick up a book called Multipliers.
Multipliers. I will definitely. Multipliers. Okay, the next question I have for you is how do you advertise your business? Because currently I rely on a lot of walk-in traffic. Word of mouth is definitely my strongest. Yep. Now that we're going into post-COVID, retailers are going to be different. So I just wanted to know how you advertise your business currently.
You know, we don't do a lot of paid advertising. We heavily rely on word of mouth. We're really big on clienteling. You know, we have a lot of touch points at Black Optical. We have business texting, we have email communication, we have social media, we have phone calls. We make a lot of phone calls. And we've always found that we get the most feedback and the biggest returns on investment by that word of mouth and clienteling. Paid advertising, you know, it's such a long, you have to do it often and you have to do it in a lot of places for it to be effective. And you have to spend a lot of money on it, you know, and I'm not talking like $200 a day, like thousands a day, I think, in order to make a significant impact with it. And I think if you're a multi-brand retailer or a multi-collection retailer, you don't have the margins of like a direct-to-consumer brand does in order to make an impact. You know, we try to support nonprofits and charities when we can and organizations. And I think that's helped. We try to get earned media. You know, we volunteer at Day Center for the Homeless. You know, and that gets us some press. When we do things with Tulsa Cares, we try to create some special events around it or a special product, whether it's like a signature lens color, and then donate that money back to the charity. We found that those kind of things are really effective for us. It also allows us to have more of a conversation. Where paid advertising, there's no conversation. It's an image. And as you know, like flipping through Instagram or Facebook, you're scrolling, and you've got to like be so dialed in to capture somebody's attention to get them to follow that sales funnel. And I'll be honest, we just don't, you know, we're not smart enough, or we're not smart in that realm of things. And I don't need to be. You know, we want to focus on what we do well, which is curate great frames, offer great service, and create a sense of community within each of our markets. So I think it's, you know, I'm not going to tell you not to advertise, but there's not a right formula for that. I don't think don't feel compelled to do it because it's going to cost a lot just to break even.
I have been pushing it off for 4 years. I get people coming in asking if we want to sign up with advertisements. But it's getting even more now there's COVID. People are reaching out via email and trying to see if you want to jump on the gun. But I'm still debating. I'm on the fence of it.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably hiring. We've worked with the PR agencies before, specifically when we have something important to say, and that's helped. And I think right now, you expanding into a second location, that's newsworthy. You know, that's something that all of your local publications are going to want to talk about. So I think that would be definitely money well spent. And maybe even if you're doing anything special of like re-entering business with new safety protocols or COVID protocols, you know, that's also newsworthy right now because it's very topical. So those are, if it was me and what we are doing, those are the avenues that we're exploring. You know, another thing I had on that list as far as not really advertising, but like we've, you know, partnered with the Dallas Art Fair, which is a pretty big art fair. It did, you know, it was paid advertising, but we made an interactive ad within their art fair pamphlet that it felt more organic, like a piece of art that we were selling and not just Black Optical. And we've gotten great engagement from that too. So I think it's like thinking of non-traditional things that get people to talk, because otherwise they're just going to scroll past it or they're going to flip past it in a magazine. You know, think about even watching TV, you fast forward past the commercials.
That's absolutely
you know,
right.
we don't want to be sold. People, it's human nature to not be sold an ad.
That's great. Terrence, do I have time for one more?
Actually, Joanne, we have to move on to our next mentee. You always ask some of the best questions. Really appreciate. We can really see how you're taking your business to the next level. I cannot wait until your new location opens.
Yeah. Sorry if I went a little too long.
Awesome. Well, let's bring in our next mentee. My girl all the way from Atlanta, Amaka. Are you there? I think you muted yourself.
Unmute.
There you go. Excellent. So Amaka is an optometrist in Atlanta. She's been joining us for every virtual session and our live session. So Amaka, tell us a little bit about who you are.
Hi guys. And as always, thank you for having me back. I somehow managed to land a third date. Okay, girl.
I'm telling you, you have good taste. You have good taste. That's what it is.
Thank you, Terrence. So I am Amaka Ngati, and I am a doctor down in Atlanta, and I've been in practice since 2012. I want to eyewear and start an independent line, and that's why I'm here. And so thank you so much. When I met Terrence saw the vision, and he has been including me, and everybody always thanks you for uniting people and kind of connecting people. We do appreciate that. So thank you again.
Well, listen, it's great. It's always easy to connect good people with other good people. So you guys are amazing.
And Gary, of course, thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it. I think this is our.
I've learned to never tell, kind of like Rihanna, you don't tell Terrence no either.
Right on. So yeah.
All right. Well, you guys didn't come to date me, so I'll let you guys go on your date.
All right, Gary, I do have a few questions for you. I checked out your website, like whole little millennial dating, like you have to like stalk the person out on their socials and their website. So I do have a couple of questions for you.
Sure, let's roll.
You have like an independent brand and you have 3 locations, 2 in one state and 1 in a whole other state. I was just kind of wondering if you explain to us your expansion and how each location is unique.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's, I like to think we have a same culture at all of our stores, you know, so that's the same. It's not necessarily unique. You know, we have core values that we all live by. We have Black Optical brand standards and like a Black Optical experience that all of our team gets to participate in and wants to be a part of and helps evolve that. Knowing that we have a diverse group of team members, you know, there is a little bit of flavor from location to location that you're going to find. But ultimately, like at the end of the day, I think it's just like Black Optical Collective, and it's hopefully if you're a client, you're going to get the same experience no matter where you go. As far as like the environments go, you know, it's my Tulsa store is so minimal and Spartan, but a lot of that was financial. You know, I had such little cash to start the business with. And then each location, I had a little more money to play with and was able to say, okay, this is what I want to do a little bit differently now, or this is what I would like to see in this retail environment. If I wasn't in an eyewear, I'd be an architect, to be honest with you. So I think I get to play around with a little bit of that in our retail spaces. But at the end of the day, it's like I hope that it lives and feels like Black Optical, no matter which location. But
Okay.
it all comes down to those core values and brand standards. You know, you have to start on early on, like, this is what I believe in, this is what I want it to look like, and this is how we're going to do it. And then you let your team kind of informed, like, what's the process like, or where we need to evolve. But great design never goes out of style, and I think it's a universal language. So I think as long as you're thinking about that and not chasing a trend, you know, you should be able to achieve that as you venture out on your own or even expand from a retail to a product collection.
Cool. Can you describe kind of your pre-COVID routine? How did you ensure the integrity in that Black optical promise? How did you ensure that across state lines? And how do you anticipate that changing? I mean, like, are you traveling from location to location? Are you, how does it kind of work?
You know, I'm pretty lucky. I have an amazing team at all of our locations that I don't have to travel as much as I did early on. You know, Dallas was a challenge to expand. So I was traveling here a lot from Oklahoma, and that's when I decided to finally move here. But where my role has changed was ultimately I'm more behind the scenes now. You know, I get to look at things at more of an aerial view than just from a consumer or team level. I think that to keep that integrity, it was really creating this set of core values. You know, we think about possibility, what's possible for not just us, but for our vendors and our clients, you know, and we take it beyond just a service level thing. And I think, and it's something we talk about every week in our weekly meetings as a team. You know, we, in all 3 stores, hop on a call every single Wednesday to go through what our values are and making sure we're living and breathing them. And, you know, the metrics we follow, like we call them key promise indicators. You know, what's the promise we're making to our guests and to ourselves? You know, and where have we found success with that? And I think as long as you continue to live by that and evolve it as you need, you're able to create that consistency. Some of it even comes in our, you know, this all starts back in our interview process. We at Black Optical, and some of our team members will tell you, like, it's, you know, my lead optician in Dallas, I think it took us 2 months to make an offer to her. And part of it's because we're slow, but it was also like making sure it was the right fit from a cultural perspective. You know, that she would find fulfillment, you know, just as much as we would get what we need in order to grow. So it's like if we instill that early on in the process, and we're able to weed out people that won't kind of fit within this Black Optical model or help us expand on our Black Optical vision. I think it's really important. That hiring process is so important. You know, challenge for us is how do we speed it up? You know, how do we find talent that's patient with us, that doesn't have to wait 2 months to get an offer?
That makes a big difference. So if you have people on your team that don't, you know, believe in what it is that you do, you know, it's going to be can you tell us a little bit more about your collaborations with independent brands? I know you mentioned it a little bit with Danisha, but I like that part of your website that you call culture. And I even noticed that you made playlists, and I'm a music person. Well, I like music. I can't sing and I can't really dance, but I do like music a lot. So I kind of like scrolled what people's playlist was looking like. But what, you know, that part, that collaboration and that, you know, that culture part that you bring in, I really like that.
Thank you.
So, and I just wanted to know, you know, why do you think that that's important to include, you know, in your model?
You know, I think, you know, I will be honest, that culture page, does it still say culture? I don't even know anymore. Okay. I thought we changed it.
All the mentees are like, yeah, we saw it.
Hey guys,
well, that's like
I launched the website 6 years ago. No, but it's, you know, I think the tagline on that, you have to refresh me. It's like culture is like, we're more than just eyewear or something along that. Like we believe and we love more than just eyewear. And eyewear is, again, it's a vehicle for us to be able to connect with others. Something I've always strived on was that human connection in things. You know, ever since I was a little kid. I mean, I remember my parents telling me I would get lost because I would just talk to strangers and like strike up conversations and not have a problem talking to anybody anytime about anything. So it's, for me, it's, again, I love eyewear and I've worn them since I've been a teenager, but it was a vehicle for me to connect with others. And, you know, music is a way to connect with others. Great design is a way to connect with others. You know, there's just so much in our world to appreciate. And then that's kind of what that page started as, was a way to show that, hey, we love eyewear, but we also love a lot of other things. And we know that as unique as we are and you are, there are other people that like the same things as us. And how can we kind of congregate around a shared kind of idea? And that's where it started. I think it's become more eyewear now as you go through it, and we don't update it as often as we have, only because we're a small team and we have a lot going on.
Yeah. I dig it. I get it. But it is still and much appreciated. I'm sure somebody loved those playlists that you guys put together.
You know, we update the Black Optical one I try to often it every month.
Okay.
You know, it's cathartic to me going through them. I like creating a little bit of environment within each of our showrooms. I was even grateful enough that if Expo was happening this year, I created a playlist for the river concept they were going to launch. And that was fun because I got to curate a 3-hour playlist based on all the brands that were showing, which I think it's still on our Spotify channel somewhere, but I don't know.
Somebody is going to hear that playlist, Gary. I know they will. My last question, just really quickly, just, you know, for inspiration purposes. How did you find your voice and vision in this industry?
You know, I think it was like a series of like small events. There wasn't like one big moment, but I think it was a lot of small things that eventually reached a tipping point. You know, I'm a very curious person by nature. I like to research. It's probably almost a little bit of a weakness too, is because I will research and go down the rabbit hole probably much further than I should. But all of those things kind of inform what I appreciate and what I like. And I think, and from that, you start taking nuggets of like, okay, I really like how this retailer is doing this, whether they're out of eyewear or in eyewear, or I like how this French designer does his chairs. I wonder if there's eyewear that kind of has a similar aesthetic to that. So I think it's like having that curious nature has definitely informed like my broader vision of things. You know, within the industry, I'm not really for sure. I think I've really lucked out. And I think because I started doing what I was doing pretty early, you know, in the mid 2000s when I launched Black Optical, it was a lot of rimless glasses and it was a lot of logos. And I didn't do any of that. You know, I did a lot of the brands I liked, but I also knew I couldn't carry 20 different brands. I couldn't afford it. You know, I could carry 5 or 6 really great brands or things that I connected with and that I was passionate about selling. And it kind of took off. We became known for like this big, bold eyewear that was logo free back when everything was minimal and, you know, almost disappeared. So I think it's like just a lot of it was luck and timing.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much. Those are my questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Amaka, you're amazing.
Thank you.
We only know each other for a year, but even in that year, I've seen you just like grow so much within that year. So I can't wait to see the rest of the Amaka story.
It's coming, young. Talk to these manufacturers. It's coming.
Keep us informed.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Guys.
And speaking of a next chapter to a story, our next mentee, you know, story is her new chapter just started. I should tell you a little more about it. Dr. Jen, are you around?
Hi.
Hey, Jen.
Hey, Jen.
Hi, guys.
Good to see you again.
Good seeing you again.
So Jen, why don't you tell us a little bit about who you are?
Yep. So I am an optometrist in New York City, and this is probably like the 4th speed date and the 2nd time doing this with Gary. So I like having to repeat this story, I guess, but I have a cold start. It was supposed to open during Vision Expo. That's obviously delayed. Construction's a little delayed, but hopefully we can open in June and it'll be in Hudson Yards, and whoever's here next year can definitely come visit the store when it's done.
Yes, absolutely. All right, I'll let you and Gary know each other already virtually, so I'll let you guys continue your date.
Okay. So I had a fun question. I guess we'll start with that one to spice up Friday. The question is, if you had to wear a t-shirt with one word on it for the rest of the year, what word would you choose? And it can't be Black Optical, that's 2 words.
I don't even have my own brand in our stores, so I'm like anti-brand. It wouldn't be a Black Optical shirt, I'll tell you that. You know, I think for 2020, that t-shirt would say resilience. No question, it would say resilience. I think in general, I would actually wear a 3-word t-shirt because it informs everything we do, which is stabilize, adapt, and innovate. You know, we could probably make that one big word like supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, but that's where I would go. You know, I think it's important to repeat those 3 words and like those 3 actions of get everything under control, figure out how to adapt to it and make the most of it. And then how do we innovate from there? And then you keep repeating it. But again, 2020 is just about resilience and surviving and like knowing that there's some light, you know, that when you open, you're going to open and people are going to be ready for you to be there and you're going to be ready.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And I'm sure it relates to a lot of people. I think I asked this question and someone said 2021.
I don't know. I think there's a lot to learn in 2020. You know, it's probably not going to be anybody's favorite year, but I guarantee it's going to be everybody's most memorable year. And the most successful leaders during this time are the ones that used this to figure out, how do I evolve what I do, and use it. It's a great time to hit that reset button. You know, a year ago, things were like moving so quick. We didn't have time to change or time to learn new technology, but now you do. You know, what's the new you that you want, or what is this vision that you've been wanting to do that time has been an excuse for? Because now you have it, you know, and it's not that it's a good excuse, but nobody now is going to say, oh, you changed who you are, or you sold out. It's like, no, I've got to like figure out what's next. You know, I think anytime somebody changes too soon, a lot of times their followers can think that they're, you know, trying to forget their past in a way, but now's a good time to do it.
Awesome. Okay. My next question is, you offer the ability to purchase eyewear directly through your site as e-com.
Yep.
So why would a customer purchase from your site to, say, purchase a pair of Barton Pereira's, for example, versus maybe Barton Pereira's own site?
Yeah.
And what was the decision process and whether or not you would offer lenses online? Why or why not?
Sure. You know, when we started online 6 years ago, a lot of our vendors didn't offer online sales. We were a real pioneer within our industry. I think we even launched, maybe not right after Warby Parker did. I don't remember how old they are, but you know, we've been doing some form of online sales for a while. And then we moved to Shopify in 2014. And it wasn't because we were trying to like take business from anybody or it being an either or. And even to this day, it's not buy either from Black Optical or from Barton Pereira. For us, it was always more of a tool of how do we get more great eyewear out into the market? How do we educate our consumer or future consumers into what great eyewear is? And then be able to curate it and showcase it in a way that's a little bit more unique than your traditional online retailer or even a vendor. Because as great, you know, everybody has a great eyewear. Every eyewear designer has an aviator. Everyone has a Wayfarer. So how nice is it to be able to see the 4 best eyewear aviators in the industry next to each other, and then get to hear Black Optical's feedback of why we think the Barton Pereira or the Dita or the Jacques Mimage might be a better fit for you. It's something we do in our stores and we try to do on our website is we don't sell based on brand, because a brand isn't always fit. You know, it's what is the right fit for you, regardless of brand. So when we come into a Black Optical location, we don't have any vendor information. We don't actually even merchandise by vendor necessarily within our store. We have all of the cat eyes together, all of the aviators together, all of the Wayfarers together. You know, because again, the consumer they're coming to us not for a label. They're coming, we want what's best for us. And I think for us, our website has that same point of view. You can shop by vendor, but ultimately we're having you shop by style and fit first. You know, I think that's the most important. And that's why hopefully you would choose us, you know, to be your eyewear destination.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's just offering a unique experience for.
And it was, again, always a tool. It wasn't a tool to like be an online business. It was a tool to help our clients' needs. You know, we started in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It's a small city. It's a really small city. But there's a lot of other people across the United States that don't have easy access to great eyewear. We wanted to be there for them.
Awesome.
You had another question about selling lenses online. You know, that's tricky because we do sell lenses. We just don't offer them on our website. But we do some decent RX business. But one of our internal monologues at Black Optical is humanizing the digital experience. So we try to reach out to our guests when they need lenses, and we do it more in a human interaction environment versus just adding your lens material, adding your prescription. Because as you know, being an OD and the rest of the opticians on here, it's not a one size fits all. You know, not everybody needs Trivex based on what their frame size is or what their prescription is. So it's hard to create that algorithm within your website, or at least it's beyond our scope to choose the lenses for them without talking about what their needs are first. You know, we're very needs-based first and then product second.
Yeah, and that makes sense. That was one of the things going forward that I was thinking about, you know, offering some sort of virtual availability. How would you properly do lenses so that you don't have redos and complaints? Awesome.
I think you're going to have some of that, you know, going online, you have to build that into your cost of goods. You know, you're going to know that that's going to exist. But I think if you can create the human interaction with it, you know, where it's not a one-click buy, but there is a little more of a human touch and interaction, then, you know, I think that's a very solvable problem.
Awesome. Well, that does lead me into the next question, which is what makes a virtual consult successful with you so that customers feel at ease purchasing a pair of glasses without maybe trying them on in person? Yeah. And 3 tips for offices deciding on implementing virtual appointments in their offices.
You know, I might not be the best person on our team to answer this because I've only done 2 virtual appointments. I've been on a lot of the conversations about how it should look and how the consumer interaction is. But what I do know is it's not a one visit consultation. You know, we generally, the process is phone call of some sort like this, whether it's Zoom or telephone or Facebook. Again, we meet our clients where they are, so whatever works best for them. And we talk about their needs, and we talk about eyewear they've loved in the past and eyewear that they have not liked in the past. And then we put together a few, show them on the camera, and then we mail them to them. And then we have a follow-up consultation where they're actually putting it on, and we're able to say, that sits a little high on your bridge, or those are a little too low, or I don't like how this looks on you, or that's the perfect pair. You know, so it's generally you come into Black Optical and we find you the perfect one in like 20 minutes. But virtual is a little bit different, you know, but again, we're in new times. You know, we can't expect everything to be really fast. What I like about virtual though, is it gives us a little more time to prepare. You know, we can vet you a little bit more. If you're already a previous client, we can take the time to think about your past purchases, think about what you need to continue wearing going forward. And then what you need to complement that collection, which you don't necessarily get if a client's just coming in, you know, without an appointment. And be prepared for extra shipping costs. You know, you're not going to be as profitable from it, but some money is better than no money. And if you're able to build that currency of trust through virtual, what you hope is they eventually become an in-store client, or it becomes easier as they go. You know, we have a lot of web clients now that it's pretty hands-off for us. We mail them a few frames, they tell us what they like, and they ship everything back. We've also partnered with our lab, so we're not shipping everything back to us and then delaying it by shipping it to our lab, as we package with a prepaid label to our lab. So the frames they love, they've got the order form, they have the shipping label, they ship that to our lab, everything else back to us. So I think that's helped too, speed up the process.
You haven't run into any issues with frames being scratched or anything through this process?
I can't speak on that. I'd have to ask my team. Nobody's complained to me about it yet, but I think we're also pretty effortless in that. We understand that things happen, you know, and we try not to, if we lose a frame here and there, we know that at the end of the day, when we run our numbers, if it's profitable for us or not, and there's going to be some loss in it. Similar, you think about Amazon, you know, they probably receive a lot of damaged products back, but they kind of take it as a loss, and you know, they're the most profitable internet company on the planet. So I think you just have to build that in your cost, knowing that not everything's going to be perfect. And if that customer becomes a problem, you fire them. You know, you don't have to service them if they're more hassle than they're worth. But thankfully, we haven't had that problem yet.
Awesome.
All right, Dr. Jen.
Yes.
We actually have to move on to our next. Oh, all right, I'll let you ask the good one. Go ahead.
So you've been a successful key leader in the industry for some time. You own a few stores and you have some great collaborations. I saw that you were planning to start your own eyewear line this year. Why was there a reason for such a wait, and why not earlier?
You know, some of it was confidence, you know, knowing, can I design a product that is sellable? You know, when I look at some of these other incredible designers out there like Maj or Dita, you know, or even what Crew is doing, or Barton Pereira, it's like, wow, what's my voice in this? Because you have so many great eyewear designers, and you go to Vision Expo and there, you know, there's like thousands of other designers we don't even do business with. Like, I love the work LM does. And I love, you know, a lot of the All Over People pieces out there, and even some of the designer brands, you know. There's so much great things out there, and it's like, how can I say something a little bit differently, but still be wearable? So I think that confidence piece was a little bit of a delay. Some of it's financial, you know, thinking I need more retail stores first in order to sell the product in, so I don't have to rely on wholesale business as much, because, you know, manufacturing, you have to make quite a few frames. You know, I think if I remember, you have a frame line, Carrot, correct?
I were, yeah.
You know, you have MOQs you have to meet. And it's like, what do you do with all that if you don't sell it all? So I think it's from like knowing that money is made in accounting. It's like, I've got a lot of units I'm going to commit to. So I know retail really well. Let's broaden our retail footprint and then launch our product. I think doing the collaborations, you know, we did frames with Light, we've done LM, quite a few with Jacques-Marie Mage, and now with Crew, you know, and I'm seeing that those frames are selling. I now have the confidence to know that like some of my ideas could stick and could sell. You know, so I think that's why I've been waiting till now, were those two things.
I'm excited to see going forward.
Thanks.
Excited to see when your office opens, Dr. Jen. See what happens with Carrot.
Oh, you're gonna have the most beautiful store in our industry.
I know.
Can't wait.
Line of sight vision. Check it out on Instagram. The renderings look amazing. So
Thank you.
Look forward to seeing it, Dr. Jen.
Yeah, incredible.
All right, let's move on to our fifth mentee. So Nana, are you with us?
Yeah, over here. How's it going?
Good.
Hey,
Nana,
Hey, Gary. Nice to see you again.
You too.
Nana, you have a very interesting story because you're coming at this at a different perspective than all the rest of our mentees. So tell us a little bit about who you are.
Yeah, my name is Nana Osei. I'm an entrepreneur. I run an eyewear line called Boatin Eyeglasses. Been doing it for about 7 years now. So our business is different because of the global aspect. So we work with local lens and industrial designers in Canada and also in Ghana to produce our glasses from a prototyping to the end product. But we also run in parallel a direct-to-consumer business while also wholesaling as a secondary. So we work with about 50 stores, and we really grow our business online through direct-to-consumer, and just getting a better understanding about our customer and the needs, like Gary was talking about.
Very, very interesting. Very interesting. So I'll let you go. You and Gary can go ahead.
Yeah. So Gary, I did my research, and I realized that you're big on working with independent designers.
Yep.
So my first question to you is, from a consumer standpoint, the people who consume a lot of the stuff that you have, what's more important to them, the right aesthetic or the right fit?
I think fit always comes first. You know, fit has to inform aesthetic, because if it doesn't fit right, aesthetically, it doesn't look pleasing to me. You know, so it has to fit. You know, the bridge has to work, temples have to work, where it hits on the eye, it has to work. And so fit should always come first. No question.
Got it. Do you ever feel like some people buy stuff, not think about fit, but aesthetic just because of the look of how it is?
I mean, I think that's human nature and consumerism, you know. We like to think when you come Black Optical, you know, you come to Black Optical, you want that experience of knowing that we're experts in fit, and we're going to find the right frame for you, regardless of what other celebrity is wearing it, who designed it, because we have that currency of trust that everything in our store is made well. You know, so You're not going to leave with a frame that's not right for you. And you don't have to worry about purchasing a frame that's not going to have some integrity to it.
Right. Awesome. My next question is, as an independent eyewear designer, how important is it to have a social presence online?
You know, I don't think it's a one size fits all type thing. I think, you know, I won't say that it's important to have a social presence, but I think it's important to have a voice, you know, wherever that is. And I think you've got to find out where is your consumer, and you've got to meet them there and have that communication with them. You know, whether it is social media like Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, or maybe it's email, or maybe it's events, or maybe it's forums someplace, or it's things like this that Terrence has organized. You know, I think it's important to be a part of that conversation. But I don't think social media is the, you know, the one size fits all location. You know, there's a lot of noise out there, and you've got to like figure out how to cut through it.
Right. And it sounds like it's more around building a community, however you do it.
Wherever it is, yeah, whether it's in person or if it's digitally. You know, I think there's more than one way to do it.
Right. Great. My last question, I know you sell lenses online, RX. I'm curious. I've noticed a lot of virtual try-ons in the last couple of years. You know, from 2D to now 3D. For a lot of brands. What are your thoughts around virtual try-ons? Is that something that you would integrate on your website?
You know, I think I'm trying to figure out how to word this democratically, but it's definitely not for Black Optical. We try to avoid things that we think are gimmicky, but it doesn't mean it's not right for somebody else. You know, us being a retailer that has quite a few collections and we're changing our inventory often, I think from a cost of goods perspective, it doesn't make financial sense to integrate it and update those frames often. I also just, you know, I'm not convinced that the technology is really there to tell you truly how it fits. Even on, you know, I played around with some of the 3D apps, and I'm not for sure it's there for our consumer. You know, we still like that human connection, and we like the service side of things versus it being product based. And eyewear is all about millimeters. You know, a millimeter makes or break a frame and its fit. You know, and I just don't think the technology captures that. But some of these brands, you know, they're really successful with it. And I think it gets people talking and it allows them to be a part of the conversation with their consumer. And I think from that perspective, it does work. But it's not for our consumer. You know, I think there's other things that we would rather explore and invest in than the virtual try on. You know, shipping frames to our consumer to actually feel the product. And there's some things like you've got to feel it, you know. A Makita on website doesn't really look that good. But you hold it and you put it on your face and you realize like, wow, this is really special. You know, and then there's some brands that look really special online and in virtual and you get them and, you know, it's like the weight isn't there or the bones of the frame aren't quite there. I think it's a tactical item. You have to touch it, in my opinion. I'm still old school when it comes to that.
Right. No, that's why you have a home try-on, right? So that makes sense. Okay, those are my 3 questions.
Nana, those are great. I know Nana has a huge consumer following. So it's nice to see you, Nana, also coming out here and being visible in the industry. I look forward to seeing you at more events. So Gary, I know I told you that there was 5 mentees, but I got a last minute entry. The only reason why I got this person in is because I know this person would ask you really good questions. So you're not prepared for this one. So this last minute entry is no other than me.
Oh, all right, Terrence.
So I'm going to take off my host glasses. I'm going to put on my mentee glasses.
Yes, Terrence, yes.
Here we go, yeah. So, Gary, may I call you Gary? Gary, I really always love to see when staff are loyal to their the company they work for or the business they work for. And I see that a lot with certain opticians. And the one thing I love about the Black Optical staff is it's almost like they own a part of Black Optical. They're extremely loyal to you, not just about passion about what they do, but they're passionate about Black Optical. So how do you recruit and train staff to have that mentality?
I don't know if I'm the right person to answer that.
How is it?
You know, we're not, you know, I think we are blessed with really amazing talent on our team, and we've had a lot of talent on our team. I can't say we're necessarily really good at recruiting, because if not, we would have, you know, 30 people working for Black Optical. But I think from like maybe a retention standpoint or maybe attracting talent is that, you know, I try my hardest, always put people first. You know, and it's not about, you know, I like to think it's not about Gary Black, even though some people might think it is. And I try not to make it about only my ideas, because I know there's people so much smarter than I am in each of their fields. You know, so I think that helps keep people around and they get to make decisions like an owner, you know, and we, you know, whenever I am not working or if I leave, I try to always tell everybody what's the decision you would make? You know, how would you handle this? Make the decision based on what you would do. because chances are they're going to make just as good, if not a better decision than what I can do. And they're the ones that get to see things every day, you know, what's happening. You know, again, I get to see things from a top level. I get to look at our KPIs. I get to interact with some clients, but I don't necessarily know what the daily interaction always is, you know? So I think it's like, I try my best to lead with that, if that makes sense, versus like, this is the Gary Black show, you know, my name's on the door. This is the way we're going to do it, because I don't have all the answers. You know, every day I'm learning, you know, and I try to do the best I can and make the best decision I can based on like the facts that I have. One of our core values is education, and like to follow up that, it's facts and decisions are best friends, you know? So it's like, let's learn as much about something as we can and take it from different perspectives. And then we decide, what are we going to do? You know, how are we going to handle this? I think like when we think about expansion, it's, do I have the people in place in order to sustain and help grow this expansion? You know, because you can't do it alone. You just can't. It's not sustainable. You know, I hope I answered your question.
No.
I just don't know the right answer to that.
It's kind of what I've seen in your team.
You should ask the team that.
I think I'm actually texting Yen as we speak. But no, it's what I see. I mean, I feel like your team are involved in the creative process, which I think is very important.
I'm grateful. You know, I'm grateful for everybody that works at Black Optical, past and present, because I've learned so much from each one of them every day. Otherwise, I'd be throwing darts blindfolded, you know, if I didn't have what's next for us.
Definitely. So one more question I have. So, Gary, on July 8th, I sent you an email, July 8th, 2019, and I received the best out-of-office response I've ever received back. I'm going to read it to everybody. It says, hello. Almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. I'm currently taking a digital hiatus during vacation. I will return on August 2nd, 2019. Again, remember, this is July 8th. Assuming I will have an overwhelmingly full inbox, I do not plan on responding to emails upon my return. If you would like an immediate response and your inquiry is optical frame or RX lens sales, please contact, and it has your info at Black Optical. And so my question is, a successful business owner like you with 3 locations, how are you able and why do you decide to take a month off every year?
That to-do list will always be there tomorrow, Terrence. You know, I do my best when I have space to think and I have space to like for freedom. And I need, you know, I feel like I get a lot done and I work on a lot of things, but I also need to recharge. You know, there's a lot of things I love besides Black Optical. You know, I love my family. I love exploring with each of them and each of their ways. I like, you know, art and music, and I like adventure, and I like exploring in nature. And you just can't always do that if you're constantly working, you know, and working isn't just showing up to your office. You know, if your cell phone is going off constantly, you know, you're going to want to check it. And I know for me, I'm like, I think earlier I mentioned it, I like pieces and I like putting them together. You know, so it's like, if I have problems to solve, I want to solve them. Like, it's hard for me to say, I'll do that later, you know, or that to-do. It is very hard for me to say that to-do list will be there tomorrow. It is a challenge. But I found if I just take away the temptation and I turn off my email, I turn off my social media, I turn off my alerts, and I let everybody know this is my boundary that I'm setting, whether it's a consumer, a client, a team member, then it's like, if they care about me, they'll kind of respect that. And, you know, I've done it for a couple of years now, and everybody's figured it out, you know? I mean, I have a really talented team that is informed well enough to make the right decision. And if they make the wrong decision, you know what? It's not a big deal. We're not, you know, there's much bigger problems in the world than what we do, that it's hard to mess up and make, you know, if you make a wrong choice, we'll fix it or we move on. So I just need, you know, it's something I needed. You know, we had a couple hard years we opened 2 stores in a year and a half period. And I realized I was just working all the time and not enjoying the things that I liked anymore as often. So that's where it came from. It was a little bit of necessity. but also knowing my tendencies as well. Is like, just, you know, what's the problem? And I'm going to solve it. And that was turning everything off. And now I won't ever turn back. I take my rest seriously, but I like to think, and again, you can ask my team, I think I come back with like recharged and with fresh ideas and like ready to innovate, you know, and like figure out what's next for Black Optical. Otherwise, I'm like, you know, I mean, every business leader can relate to that. There's a lot of things that take to run a business. And it's hard to focus on the things that you're really passionate about outside of work, unless you strip away, you know, those distractions. I read a lot. I mean, I used to read all the time. And then the previous 5 years, I read probably one book. And then on that first month I took off, I read like 6 books. One book I read twice and still spent so much time with my family, you know? So it creates this kind of like new you in a way. Again, unplug it, it'll work again.
So Gary, I wanted to end that on that note with that question, because I think it's very important at times like this to remember, as much as we love this industry and passionately are about this industry, there's so many other things we should be grateful for in life right now. And to hold our loved ones tight, I always appreciate them. So, well, Gary, thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Amazing. Our mentees, we really appreciate it. All of you, it takes a lot of courage to be on here. You ask some amazing questions. So just to let everybody know, the EYE2EYE series, if you don't know, has 2 parts. We have every Wednesday, we have coffee talk, dealing with a little bit more immediate, serious needs of the industry. And Friday is geared more to creatives and the passion behind it. This Wednesday, because of Memorial Day, we will not be having coffee talk this coming Wednesday. So there will not be a coffee talk this coming Wednesday. So don't tune in. However, next Friday, we have a very special happy hour. We have a happy hour put on by Eye Care Business Magazine, and they will be talking to select members for the EDCFDA. On the EDCFDA, what is the future of eyewear and design? So we're going to hear from Gaye, we're going to hear from Salima, from Blake, from Alem, and we're going to have a very in-depth discussion for these people that are so passionate and experienced behind this craft here as well. Now, there is going to be a poll as well. It should be coming up soon if you haven't already seen it. If you can just, or a survey, excuse me, that's going to be in the chat box. So please, you guys, if you get a chance, before you log out, please click the survey link that's in the chat box and take the survey. It's helping us with content, helping us with how we can continue to form and shape the EYE2EYE series. And your feedback is very, very important to us. So, well, other than that, we want to thank you all for being here. There's so many people that stuck on. Thank you, Kat from Kazal. You know, thank you, Dr. Brill. Thank you, Perry. Thank you, Alicia from Barbados. We appreciate Dr. Ossett for being here again. May, we appreciate you being here every week. Morgan from Tykean. And again, if I did not get to your name, it does not mean I don't love you or we don't love you. It just means that there's so many of you on here that I couldn't shout you all out. So everybody have a great long weekend, and we will see you back next Friday for happy hour. Signing off.
Thanks, Terrence.
Thank you. That was great, Gary.
Thanks.
That was really good, man. Were you surprised at the last minute entry?
Yeah. I don't like talking about myself, Terrence.
I know you don't. I know you don't. So I know if I told him.
I was sweating over here. It got hot in my house all of a sudden.
But you know what comes down to Gary? There's still most people are still on here. Gary and I, you guys, we talk like almost every week. We have some really cool discussions. I'm like, man, I wish I could share this information with other people we talk about. You know, not the optical stuff, but the green energy. Yeah, life stuff. The life stuff. You know, so I wanted to ask you those questions because I know that it would be beneficial when it comes down to just us in general and when it comes down to running our businesses.
Yep. You know, and I think it's like, again, I work hard, but when I'm working, like I'm enjoying myself, you know, and being present to wherever it is, putting my cell phone away, putting the computer away. You know, I think that stuff's important because that's what life is. It's not just one thing. You know, we're such multifaceted people, and it's hard when you have these distractions that you think are priorities. And what I realized is everything was just great when I got back. You know, there's no fires to put out. There's no problems to solve. And it, you know, I'll be honest, it requires me to be more efficient before I leave, to be honest with you, because I can't say that I'll be here tomorrow. You know, I've got to get it done, or it helps me learn to say no to things. The downside is my email gets out of control, social media gets out of control, but You know, people can pick up the phone and call me and I'll answer that. It's the human connection.
No, that's important. Yeah, I told you I did that for 2 weeks last year when I went to Spain. You know, I almost did it. I was in Barcelona, and the Etnia Barcelona team was like, please come by the flagship. So I did do that. That was fun, though.
That's different. Yeah, that's different. Yeah, that's
That's fun, right? There's a rooftop bar there as well. But I felt so much better coming back than any other vacation I took. And I found out even the emails, people were asking me questions, they found the answer to them by the time I got back.
You'll find that.
So, yeah, you know.
Well,
so,
I hope you do it again this year.
Yeah, I'm going to try it. I don't know when I'll have another vacation. You know?
You know what, Terrence, when I told you this, I started doing it during the week when I'm at home. Like once a month, I just shut down everything. And I don't follow up, like at all. You know, and it's not a vacation. It's just so I have some space to breathe.
Gotcha.
And I feel the pressure of like having to solve problems, you know, or answer questions.
Yeah, no, that's yeah, I'm gonna try that. I think
try it for like ease into it. Do it maybe like Friday through Monday, you know, or you know, see how it works, and then you can stretch it out a little bit longer if you want.
I think the only person that will probably find me is Alicia from Barbados. She'll probably figure out a way to find me. Shout out to you, Alicia.
You need to auto reply your text. If you unplug it, it'll work again.
You know, the great thing about being in Spain is I just didn't turn it on. You know, I just literally, I left it on, you know, airplane mode while I was in Spain. So, I mean, I felt really, you know, really good. But you're like that even during the day, I find, Gary. I mean, I'll text you and you're like, hey, I'll text you later. I'm riding my bike with my kids. Or, you know, or, you know, I'll text you tomorrow because I got something going on right now.
Yeah, I just think it's important. You got to be there, you know, being present. You know. Another core value we have is talking about vision. It's stopping to see what's right in front of you and not always looking forward, you know, because there's so much right here, you know, and if we're constantly looking ahead, you know, we're missing out what's here in front of us. You know, I think vision has this thing of looking forward, but it's not always that way. And it's been a big guiding principle for us.
That's real. Man, you know, it's crazy. Like, most of the people still stayed on for this part of the conversation. The after party, the after party's still going. The after party's still going on. So, Angela, you heard that? Gary told me to take a month off this summer and not respond to any of your emails.
He'll be more productive when he gets back.
Yeah, I think Angela and Alicia, they both will find me at the same time. All right, everybody, this was really good. Oh, Javier, let me unmute Javier. Oh, quick. Oh, sorry, have I unmuted? Do it again.
There you go. Hey.
Bro, thank you, man. That was really good.
Yeah.
That was, you know, that was awesome. Thanks.
Part of this.
Yeah, it's great, man. That's great. No, we'll I copied your recipe, so I'll go ahead and post it after this so everyone can see it. I'll tag you on it. But that was great.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hopefully soon I'll be back in Dallas one of these days.
Yeah. Hey, soon.
You know, and we'll be there. So. Oh man, I hate to like leave. So many people still on here. They might even, you know, it's Morgan's. Hey, Morgan, you had some really cool questions. Can I unmute you at least?
Hi.
Hey, Morgan.
Hi. Am I unmuted?
So yes, you are. Yes, you are. So Morgan, you had like a really cool question about distribution, I believe.
I had a few questions. Let me scroll up. I don't know.
Yes, Alicia, holiday in Barbados.
Sorry, say again?
No, Alicia just typed, everyone's invited for a holiday in Barbados.
Oh, I know. That sounds amazing. There was a couple. It was like one, I had actually been interested in thinking about rolling out designs as they come, which is what Gary had mentioned. And so before in the past, people had mentioned that retailers wouldn't take you seriously unless you had like a full collection. And so that was kind of what held me back from doing that. I was curious if more retailers were on board with having that type of rollout where you release designs as they come, or if you would consider that as like, they won't take you seriously as a brand or a designer.
And Morgan, I can't speak for a lot of retailers, but I can share my experience with this. One of my best-selling brands to this date, I only opened with 6 pairs, and that was Dita back, I don't know how many years ago now, when they were launching their Japanese collections. But I was pretty upfront with them, like, this is what I want to buy, and this is what I think I can do with it, and this is my plan going forward of reordering. So I think what a lot of retail or vendors and designers are going to be flexible as long as they know you have a plan. And what I told with Dita is like, I know this is what I can afford to buy today, and I sell it, I can afford to rebuy more. So I think going in with a plan, they knew that I wasn't just going to buy 6 frames and then never buy from them again. I was going to support the brand in the way that I could do best with it. What I also knew for me was like, I didn't want to buy a lot of things that I wasn't going to sell anyway. I wanted to buy the things that I loved, that I think our clients would connect with. So I think if you, and I'm not saying that's what you do with every vendor, but I think if you go in with a plan that's beneficial for both you and them, I think you'll find that they're more willing to work with you, depending on who it is, especially from some of the smaller independent designers. It's got to be a partnership. Nobody can feel like they're winning, because it's not a competition. But I think if you can pitch something that's mutually beneficial, you'll probably get a yes answer.
That's good to know, because so much is changing right now. But not only that, like, you don't want to have, since nobody knows the future, you don't want to have too much on hand and make the MOQs and things like that if it just has nobody to get to. I was also curious, like, in regards to that, or in that same vein, are you as a retailer basically like done until 2021 in terms of bringing anybody in? Like, how do small independent brands that like me, I'm not asking you, I'm just saying as a general do you think this whole season is over?
I don't think so, because we're still buying product. We're buying it a little differently, but we're not buying it differently. We've always bought small and reordered often. So I think we're in a lucky position where we weren't requiring or like expecting 300 units to arrive.
Right.
We've always bought small, and we've worked out, like, I send a sales report to my vendors and they reship me everything I sold every week. Some smaller brands are once a month. So it allows them to know they're going to get sales, and our team knows they're always going to have stock shelves. And I know from an accounting perspective, I'm not going to have a lot of money sitting in my drawers.
So even this time right now, you don't see any like delays in terms of like who you're choosing to still stock in your stores?
Oh, like as far as bringing in new vendors?
Yeah, just like how do you see, like, as because I'm an independent brand, like, and a very small brand, so I was relying on going to Vision Expo and meeting people or foot traffic and to show the product in hand. But now everything is changed, and if you don't have a relationship or somebody doesn't know you, what do you do from that end? Like, if the whole season is basically canceled for brands that people don't know yet.
I think you innovate. This is a good time to innovate. Well, to be transparent, Black Optical picked up two new collections this year since COVID hit. We bought small. We're not doing it large across our stores, but we still brought in new things. But what we looked for was the reason we said, we're going to invest in these collections today, because we know when they have a unique point of view that we can tell our clients about and get them excited about. They're two brands that are very wearable, but they're doing things a little bit differently that I think will be unique to that consumer conversation. So,
sorry, go ahead.
Oh, and I said, I know something that we've been doing with the existing brands is we've done I won't say a few. I know we've done one successful virtual trunk show with a designer, and it was great. And it became kind of a template going forward for us.
That was amazing.
So I think for you, it's like thinking about, okay, how can I meet my consumer, which I'm assuming is retailers? How can I meet them where they are? And right now, I think that's doing it virtually. What you're in a unique position because you have a lot of business owners that we're all really busy and we're working on new things, but chances are we're all in front of our computer now, and we're not in front of client.
But you don't feel like, I don't know, I've been struggling with the feeling of inappropriateness because everybody's going through such difficulties or crazy times that you don't know what their situation is like. And so I didn't want to feel like it was inappropriate to keep reaching out to people, and I've kind of like let things go on pause because I am new and I don't want to like, I don't know what the way to go.
Maybe you treat it as like more, not necessarily a sales call, but find out what your potential clients and customers needs. You know, what are their needs are, what are they experiencing? You know, for us, that human connection is really important. And we've chosen a lot of brands we work with and our staff that we work with, even our clients, was never really always about eyewear. You know, Jerome at Maj, he and I didn't connect over eyewear. He and I connected over like Native American culture. I'm in Oklahoma, and he knows all of these battlefields. And that's how our dialogue started, was over that. And now I like to think we're one of his best accounts in the middle of the country in very small markets.
Right.
So I think it's, you know, it's all about that connection. And I think that is how you'll find some success going forward. Or at least that's how I'd frame it now for you, is don't make it about eyewear. Find out what your clients are into and what they're interested in, and see if there's some parallels there.
Awesome. Well, so Morgan, I think next week, I'm gonna stop you there. Next week we have that great panel with the EDC FDA design. I would definitely bring these questions up. I think someone like Salima, someone like Gay LM would be really good for you to. And just that you know, Gary, who Morgan is. Morgan is the owner and designer at Taiki Instant Eyewear, and she was chosen by the EDC FDA as top emerging talent.
Oh, congrats!
From the year. So we look forward to doing that. Yeah, Morgan, obviously, you would definitely would bring this up next week to the EDC FDA designer.
Because I always have, you know, I'm used to doing direct to consumer. That's how I started and how I've been doing my brand, and using that to get money to pay for trade shows to meet retailers. So right now my whole setup has drastically changed because I relied on those events. So getting to talk to you as retailers and other eyewear designers, that would be great, because
definitely
there's so much to learn.
Yeah. I think you're going to find that COVID or not COVID, there's always so much to learn. And that's where it's important to stabilize, adapt, and innovate. You know, this is a great opportunity to like reinvent your business plan a little bit. And have some like conversations with other business leaders and retailers. But I wouldn't give up on the year. You know, I think business will be down, but I also think it's going to shift in a positive way too.
Brother, you went above and beyond your hour commitment to us.
my kids are gone. My wife went out. I got time.
That's why. I know the Black household with home. You'd be
no, they went to run some errands, and then, you know, I am going to go bike and run after this.
Nice.
Still have a triathlon training to keep up with.
This guy. Gary, thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate you doing this.
I appreciate the opportunity.
It's crazy, you know. We still have 30-something people still on this Zoom, and I hate ending a Zoom this way. But everybody, we're going to sign out here. Any questions you do have, feel free to email them to me. I can get them over to Gary. My email is tlacron@thevisioncouncil.org. Or you can hit me up on Instagram always at the Optical Poet. So everybody have a safe and long and wonderful weekend as well. And we'll catch you guys back here on Friday. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. Bye now. So Nabil, do you need anything from me, or you're good to go?
I'm good.
Awesome.
I'm good.
Gary, that was lit.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, we never had such a long after party. So, I actually might not cut that one out the edit. As I might not cut that one out the edit.
Well, don't forget to do that one about Ed.
Yeah, I know. So Liv.
Yes.
So last week when we were talking about, we should surprise Ed and do this whole speed dating, it's actually on the YouTube video. And Gary's like, you're gonna have a hard time surprising Ed if it's recorded on YouTube.
Oops.
Yeah. So, all right, Gary. Thanks again, brother.
Thanks,
We'll talk
guys.
soon.
Enjoy your weekend.
Yes,
Thanks,
you as
Gary.
well. All right. Bye now.
Thanks, Gary.
Thanks, Nabil. Thanks, Lou.
Bye, guys. Hey, Olivia.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I'm gonna pause recording.